Welcome to CreateGrowProfit, and today we have a different type of episode. I'm speaking with a coach friend of mine, Sabine Roden. She's a life coach, and we're talking about traveling, how we both traveled, and how that helped us grow. Sabine and I, just before this, we had a different conversation about traveling. And then in the moment, we just decided let's do a podcast episode out of this. So, Sabine, you asked why I studied abroad. And we have completely different stories. I was introduced to studying abroad by my parents. You were introduced by studying abroad out of your own efforts, and you went to work for it for 1 year. But before that, as you were studying French and Spanish, what pushed you to say, "Hey, I'm going to work 1 year and make the move to go abroad, study abroad, live abroad for a long period of time, and even work for it, save money to do that." Do you remember the spark that made you do that?
Honestly, I think it was a bit of a spark of so I actually tried to go abroad after I had finished 2 years of college. I had worked with a local university, a sister university, and I got no scholarships. And it actually made me really upset. I wasn't the very, very top, like I was great as a student, but I wasn't the top, the 100% person. And I also hadn't messed up a bunch in my life. There were tons of money given to people who had messed up a ton and to the very, very top. And for somebody who was right under that, there was nothing. Honestly, I think the spark was a bit of a like you're gonna somehow make it so I can't do this. Like, oh no, that actually, anybody who tells me, I have a little bit of that. If you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And so there definitely was a little bit of that in there. It was also, after 2 years, it was the only thing I enjoyed from school. I mean, like I had said to you, I could, I was a great student in lots of things, but like, where was my joy? I loved everything French. Um, and even when I went to school over there for a year, um, I used to say when I came back that I had the thickest Coke bottle rose colored glasses because I was so in love with everything French. I think it was pulling me even then, even though I didn't realize it. I think it's always been just a place, and I felt so good when I lived over there. I finally felt like I belonged, like these were people I belonged with. These were people like me. And so, yeah, it was a combination of that pull towards something that felt good and kind of more easy. Like it felt like me. Um, and then somebody giving me a hard time and not giving me a scholarship, and
How dare they?
I was going to show them. I was going to work for a year, and I was going to go no matter what.
Yeah, how dare they not let you go to France?
Do they not know me? Like,
I love that that was the spark, that energy, that rebellion in a sense. And how long did you stay in France?
I was there for the full school year, and then I think people still do that a lot. I was already there, so then I spent the summer doing the Eurail pass, the student, and I went to a bunch of places in Europe to take advantage since I was there. Yeah. So I was there for almost a full year.
Wow, yeah, that's a pretty long time. And then you came back with culture shock, right?
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah. I mean, I felt so good over there. Things like I like hanging my clothes out to dry versus using the dryer. Morris, that is not the American way. The American way is you use the dryer, you drive everywhere. You don't walk. I would walk I would walk 45 minutes to get to the university. And I loved it. I would come home, and if I didn't time it just right, all of the food shops, all of the restaurants would, not the restaurants, but like the bakery and stuff, would be closed because it's lunchtime. And I always thought, good for you. Like, you get to eat too. Again, not American in my thinking at all. And so I felt so good. I felt like that was so much me. Yeah, that when I came back, I think my mom says, I think she told me that I cried off and on for like 3 months straight. It was it was really hard to come back.
I so you had a bigger culture shock coming back than going there. That's what it sounds like.
Going there, I accepted a lot. I just was like, yeah, this is either because it felt more, it felt better, or it resonated with me, or I just thought it was a better way of living life. Like, everybody gets to eat lunch. What a concept! I thought that was great. I fully supported that, even if I hadn't prepared my lunch and I was really, really hungry. Yeah, it just felt right. Whereas I came back to the United States, and I was no, like, that ease wasn't there anymore. And that's clearly been a bit of a trajectory in my life, that I have been more and more conscious of looking for, instead of going for what's hard, which is what I was taught. Life can be hard. It's just hard. Growing pains. Well, this idea of like, well, what if it could actually, what if you could choose easy? What if it could be, even if it's challenging, what if there's an easier way through the challenge? So I think that seed was planted way, way back when. Yeah, because when I came back to the States, I was just, everything was really, really hard. Although this is a funny story. So everything was really, really hard, except I remember, so I would always make raspberry jam. And so I came back from France.
You made that in France.
No, no, I mean, no, I would make it all the time in the US. I didn't have my supplies in France for it. But when I came back, I remember making raspberry jam. And every day for lunch, I would make a peanut butter and raspberry jam sandwich, and I loved it. Like, the French part of me that was like, oh, the flavors, the textures. Like, I tried to bring France back with me. That love of food, that appreciation for the smaller things in life. Like, I started all of that when I was in France. And so many of those things are still so important to me today, to enjoy life. I mean, we're here. Why not enjoy being here? So, yeah, so I remember for months the highlight of my day was this peanut butter and raspberry jelly sandwich. I still remember it. I still remember the, like, it was so good.
That must be one hell of a raspberry jam, Sabine.
Yeah, I made it from scratch. I made it from my own hands. It was raspberries in season. Like, it just, okay, I'm going to say this, and after everything I've said, it's probably going to make sense. That raspberry jam reminded me of home, and home was France.
I resonate with that very much. Just it was the opposite direction for me. It was for me going from Switzerland to the US, and I was never much of a pizza fan until I came back from the US. And I have so many great memories of eating pizza in the US, even like, leftovers the next morning, cold pizza slices for breakfast. How great is that? If you don't think it's great,
Pizza is magical.
it's so good. And and ever since then, like I love pizza because I attach those memories, those emotions to eating pizza.
So you get it. Your pizza is my raspberry jam. You get it.
Yeah, I do. So would you say that, let me ask differently, how big of an importance was your traveling in the work that you do today?
That's fascinating. I love that that question is making me think of, I mean, I've never thought of that question before. Actually, It feels like traveling as I feel into it, as I think of what, you and I have just been talking about. Traveling helped me become me, but another part of me has always been I've wanted to help people. I've wanted to, and specifically for myself, I've always wanted to. Do you know the phrase to clean out from under the rug? Like people will bury things under the rug. I just don't understand that. To me, I want a non-bumpy rug. Like I want to pick up the rug and I want to find what's there. And to me, that's fun and exciting. And I think I get a dopamine hit. I'm like, ooh, I just figured that out. Like that's so much fun. It's almost like people as puzzles or something.
Do you get this dopamine hit when you clean it from under the rug for yourself or for other people or both?
Both, but if I help somebody else clean out from under their rug, no matter how much I facilitate and assist, ultimately, human free will, choice, they could have blocked me at any point had they wanted to. So ultimately, the other person has got to choose it. They've got to choose that they're okay cleaning out from under their rug. And so in that moment, I am so happy, like that happiness that I have when I do it with myself. I am so happy for them. I am not going to take away that, but I will add like my light. I will add my excitement to theirs. But I'm not going to say it's mine or my soul doing because I recognize that it all comes Morris, it all comes back to me. Had anybody told me along the way, and I've had people try to tell me this, oh, you you did X, Y, or Z because I did this for you. It's like, oh, no, 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 no. At the end of the day, I make my mistakes, but I also do all my whatever is brilliant. Like, that's on me too. So I'm not going to allow somebody to take away anything that I'm responsible for. But equally, I'm not going to allow somebody to take away something that I've like worked for or I've gained or like, heck no, it's mine. Um, so I'm not going to do that to somebody else either. If they've done even a part of the work, like that's theirs, and they need that to recognize. Let me change that. I've needed that to recognize that as I do things for myself, as I work on myself, like I get to pat myself on the back. That's a good thing. And so I am giving people simply I'm following the rules that I want other people to follow with me, that I follow with me. That's what I want to give somebody else. Uh, yeah, yeah. How does that resonate for you? How does that?
No, I think you said something really important. And the way I would phrase it is getting coached is not easy. We make it, oftentimes, we want to make it look like, oh, he got help, she got help. They didn't do it on their own. But allowing someone to help you is not as easy as it sounds. And I'm saying that with each year that I spent, more time coaching and working with more different people, where I'm really starting to realize also in my own life that not many people are ready or allow others to help them or allow others to coach them through a process. And even those who are ready, it's not as easy as it looks, because you got to admit vulnerability, you got to clean out from under the rug, you got to grow, and a part of your old self dies along the way. And so I think it's really awesome how you recognize this achievement in others. And it's true, they can block out help anytime they want. And if they don't, the results, the achievements, the success is really on them. Because even just allowing somebody to help, allowing yourself to listen to somebody is a big step.
Yeah, I mean, how is it in Switzerland? I know in the U.S. That's not something we're taught. In fact, we're encouraged to do so much. At least, I know me growing up, and it was the more you could do on your own. Oh, kudos to you! Like even better to you. Is that similar in Switzerland?
Yes, definitely. But I also think it depends on what it is. For example, if if somebody wants to do sports and excel in sports, it's like the most normal thing to say, well, why don't you get a trainer or why don't you join a club or why don't you train with others? But when it's something like, I don't know how to say, like I want to be more positive about myself, and then you get therapy or you get coached on that, that is seen as a weakness. So I think it really depends on what it is. There's some things where it's, or even like family issues, right? Where if if a family hires help because parents are struggling with the children, that is often seen as, oh, look, the parents are failing. But if, for example, you're pregnant, right? And you get expert help. It's like, oh, very good. They care about the baby. So I find it fascinating how asking for help changes so much based on context.
That's a good, yeah, yeah, that's a good call out. Yeah, you're right. It really is. We've got things in silos where it is okay and it is not okay. It's not even like there's a middle ground. It's very much, it really is on one extreme or the other.
Yeah. And I learned that through traveling, right? Like seeing how other people behave in different situations.
What?
Yeah, and it opened my eyes to the fact that, yeah, there's other way there, we can choose different reactions or different opinions on different subjects.
What I noticed from traveling was how countries could do things different versus it was much less about the individual or those sorts of experiences. That's so fun.
No, for me, actually, it was the opposite. Especially going to the US. For example, in Europe, people say Americans are obese and they're all crazy. Okay, that's like the European stigma of Americans. But I met the smartest people, most athletic people, healthiest eating people in the US. I didn't meet them in Europe.
Interesting.
What I find very valuable for me in, what I learned early through traveling is that you can have a picture of a country and maybe the country as a whole does certain things, but it doesn't apply to all the individuals. You're going to find individuals who live by their own rules, guidelines, who carve out their own path. And so you can't apply a picture of a country to an individual person. And that's how I got more interested in individuals and less interested in countries as a whole.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
It feels like traveling for you opened up your mind to the exterior world, and traveling for me actually opened up potential, I would say a little bit more internally, like I can be me when I travel. And for you, it feels like it was a little bit of other people, like everybody can do their own thing, but I needed to know that for myself, and you saw it for everyone else.
Yes, I think you're right. For sure, it changed me as well. Yeah, I guess it gave me permission to pursue goals, right? Like I saw other individuals who just go their own way, even though their country is supposed to be different and they just don't care, right? Like if you're American, you're supposed to be obese. Meanwhile, they eat like the organic food from like special farms, super clean, very athletic. They don't care what an American quote unquote is supposed to be, right? And it gave me permission to, or I got courage through that to say, you know what? Even if I was born where I was born and I grew up how I grew up, I can carve out my own path. And for me, that was specifically making money online. I love the idea of working online and being able to travel even more or location independent. And so, yeah. Sabine, I know that you have a really cool demo where you work with somebody? Where can people watch that demo?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So it's right off of my website. If you go to becomingyou.life/demo. Yeah, it's right there. It's a 8 minute video that is the core of the session, where I worked with someone who was a new client, but worked with her to she really needed she felt the pain and the discomfort of not being able to have some really hard conversations with some family members. And in that one session, we were able to shift and release the things getting in the way and align her with ease, just being able to have easy conversations, which she turned around within, I think it was certainly by the end of that day, within a few hours, maybe even an hour. She turned around and she started setting up the conversations that she had wanted to have.
I'll link to that below the episode. And I think we're going to need a follow up conversation after this. There's so much more to talk about. Thank you very much, Sabine, for doing this part one with me today.
Thanks. Thanks, Morris.